as you guys can hear, there's so much background noise and it's kind of making me annoyed. But I guess it is what it is. I'm gonna use my whiteboard. So here's my whiteboard. Apparently everything is dead on my laptop and my computer, so I'm gonna have to, and my iPad, so I'm gonna have to plug that in. Okay, so I'm putting on my white noise on my iPad, and then I'm gonna put white noise on my laptop through my headphones, which is a good trick for if you live in a city and there's a lot of noise and you can't really focus. So this is on it. It's just white noise in the background, and I would use that in law school when people would be loud on the floor, and it would be kind of nice to see people socializing, so I didn't want to avoid that. So what I would do is I would just put on my headphones, the white noise, to be around people, but like also not fully isolate myself from human interaction. So I wanted to show you guys one thing about my studying. So today is memorization day, as you know. So I have a formula sheet, a T account sheet, and a methods sheet. So as I am studying and making my cheat sheets, I am adding any methods, any T accounts, and any formulas to these sheets. And the nice thing about it, it's kind of like flashcards because you fold it over and then you get the answer on the back, right? And so then on top of these, I also have my terms Quizlet. If you would like for me to make this public, I can. And so I put all the definitions on here, and it's about 300. It's exactly 300, which makes my accounting brain so happy. So chapters 1 through 10 has about 300 terms, which is about 30 terms per unit. And so then I'm going to do flashcards for these because on the essay, they're going to ask you these terms and you need to be able to shoot them out really fast to get to the actual calculation. Also on the exam, you need to know the formulas like the back of your hand so you don't have to worry about it. If you're like, okay, what is contribution margin? Boom. You figure it out immediately. Easy points or memorization. That's what I like to think. If you can memorize it, that's an easy point you can get, because the actual challenge comes when you've never seen something before and you have to apply it, which that does happen. You can prepare for months and months and months and something you don't know appears on the exam. And so what do? You use what you know. But easy points are what is net working capital. And you should be able to shoot that out immediately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with these. I'm going to start with the formulas. I'm going to then do the T accounts, and then I'm going to do the methods. It is also important to note how, as I am filling this out when making my cheat sheets, here we go, it is color coded. And so I have a color coding theme at the very top. So I have 1.1 is this color, 1.2 is this color, 1.3 is this color, and so on. So then if I don't know where this is, because it's in chronological order, this is in chronological order, I can go to that chapter and look at that color and be like, okay, so it was pink, which is prime cost, right? So, and I know the beginning is chapter 1. So I'm like, okay, pink is under 1.6 consolidated statements. Boom. And then I can find it. I can find it in my notes. And so I think it's really important that you do color code as you go, so it is easy to determine where everything is. In law school, I don't do written as much. I usually do outlines. If you guys would like to see how I prepared for my law school exams, I'm happy to show you. It's mainly all typed because I did not have time to handwrite. And also in law school, you don't really need formulas, which is handwritten, or T accounts, because doing T accounts online would be just like a pain. And so I just do it all on paper. And honestly, when I am in law school, I print out everything that I type. So let me show you. So these three binders are all things I've printed out, including my outlines, my term sheet, my bare minimum outline, and cases. And so if you would like to see a video on that, please let me know. This is my finals binder that I did, and it was very dense. Like, this is all for this semester's finals. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing formulas first. Okay, before I get started, I'm gonna walk you through what I'm doing to memorize. So I'm gonna start, you always take it one step at a time, right? And so, one moment. Okay, hi, my shirt was riding up and it kept bothering me, which means I can't focus. And so I had to go change my shirt. That's very important. You are comfortable in your clothing and what you wear, because if you aren't, especially as a neurodivergent person, that's all I'm going to focus on. Okay, back to what I was saying. So I'm going to start with formulas. I'm not using my book stand because I'm going to be flipping kind of like a flashcard, right? That's the whole point of these. So here's my formulas. Okay, I'm going to put this here. Notice how I'm able to focus more with the white noise. I'm going to fold each one in half to make it so I don't see the answer, right? Okay, and so let's start. We have these to memorize. And so since I haven't studied these in such a long time, I won't remember it. So there's like the first round of flashcards or terms or any form of memorization is learning it. So I don't know the answer to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over. So it says cost to cost method formula. I'm going to flip it over. So it says percent cost to completion equals total cost incurred today. All total estimated costs of the project. Cost to cost method formula. So I write the term cost to cost method formula, and then I read it out loud if I'm not processing it. So cost to cost method formula, percent cost excuse me, percent cost of completion incurred, total cost incurred to date. So percent of cost completion equals total cost incurred to date over total estimated cost of the project. Total contract revenue. Okay, so since this is a flashcard, I am lost. I don't know where this is. I know I have the color-coded system, so I'm like, when do I use this? In what situation would this formula come up? And so I pull out my binder and I look for anything that is this maroon color. Okay, I actually just opened right to it, which is kind of insane. So under my methods sheet, I have a specific input method and the long-term construction of other controls. Literally, I just opened right to it. So this is what I have. And so I know it is under input cost to cost output method, which seems like chapter 3? No. Where did I cover this? Is this revenue recognition? Yes. Okay. So now I know in my brain, because it's this maroon color, right? And it's the same maroon color under my methods sheet, that I can find it. And then my notes nicely tell me input method revenue recognized upon. And now I know when I will use that formula. And so I'm going to read this and rewrite the formula. So during the second round, hopefully I have it memorized. What usually happens is I go one round memorizing by not knowing the answers. And then I go a second round trying to recall, like building that wavelength in your brain, that neuron firing off. I'm like, okay, cost method. I know it was like cost complete over total cost estimated. And I check. And if that's right, that's good. And then I do it a third time. And then I determine if something is in the yes, I know this, or no, I don't know this pile. And so if yes, I know it, I move on. No, I don't know it. I keep doing the no, I don't know it flashcards until I know it. And there are times where I literally have like 5 terms left that I don't remember. And I write it over like over 20 times. And I then come back to it later to help build that thought process. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I thought it would be helpful to explain, especially because the only way I learn is knowing where something is located and how to apply it. So I'm going to look at revenue recognition real quick because I went over it, but I want to solidify I know when to use this. And the first page, I didn't really do chronological order because I was still figuring out my study method system. But over time, it does become chronological. Also note in my book, I indicate the color coding system. So when I come back to it, I know, okay, it's under 5.2 maroon, which is exactly the color of the formula. So when I flip it over, I cover up the next term answer so I don't know it. You can do this with another piece of paper even. So I don't see the answer to the next question. Okay, hi guys. I think I misspoke earlier. So combine what I said about steps 2 and 3 for flashcards, because if it goes into the yes column, the flashcard or the memorization, that means I'm 100% sure I know it. If I'm not 100% sure I know it, like 75% or even 90% sure, I'm like, oh, I might forget this. It does not go into the yes column. And so I would combine steps 2 and 3 as like a memorization step. And then I also want to make a side note that during the school year, anything small can stress me out, like going to get more pens or pencils when I'm in the locked in zone. So I literally have a drawer of backup school supplies. So like flashcards, tabs, pens, and whiteboard markers, because in the school year, the least thing you want to do when you're locked in and studying is go and get more pens. So like, for example, my Thin Expo died. So I can literally just go, boom, I have backup. And that saves me a whole trip to the store. And also there's a lot of sales on school supplies at the beginning. So might as well just stock up and have those on hand for, I don't know, the amount of years you'll be in school. So I currently feel my brain working. We just did the first round of 2. Remember how I combined steps 2 and 3 for my explanation of how I study. So I'm gonna give myself a 10 to 15 minute break, because when you are actually internalizing, your brain is working overtime and you do feel it. And so taking a step back gives your brain, like doing something fun, I'm probably gonna edit, doing something except other than that material, gives your brain time to internalize. And then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna actually see what I know. And what I don't know, I'll come back to by marking with a pencil. And you can do flashcards with these, but I did this method because seeing it chronologically helps me see the big picture. I did number each page so I know what's going on. And I think it's important to note, when you do have this method, make sure you're going to the right answer rather than a different line, because it's really easy to get confused. I think color coding is really important, because when you are at the exam, especially if you're a visual learner, you're gonna remember, oh, it was the maroon subject, and it'll help a lot. So we're gonna finish formulas, and then we're gonna go to T accounts, which I'm excited for. And then we're gonna go to methods, and then we're gonna do the Quizlet, because I'm starting off with the most mathematically dense material. And then I'm gonna drill. I'm gonna take a break probably, and then I'll drill. And I have that bird watching event at 2. And before I go to bed, which is when your brain processes and learns, sleep. Before I go to bed, I'm gonna reread all my cheat sheets, because I went through them, but as I'm going through these formulas, I'm having trouble seeing the big picture. And so I'm gonna do that as well today, because I do feel motivated, unlike yesterday, which is why it's so good I took a rest. So it's 9:38. I am gonna finish step 1 of memorizing the formulas. Luckily, I think most of it's in my head. We'll find out. Yeah, so I'm gonna get back to that. I took a 20-minute break because I was like, this is pretty dense material. And since it is a longer study day, when I have longer study days, I tend to take longer breaks so I know I can make it through the day. For the ones I don't know, I'm gonna tab. I'm just gonna tab them because I don't feel like marking it up. So I'm just gonna do this. And then I'll just tab them as I go. Okay, side note, when I am memorizing these formulas, I tend to do examples. So here I just did like, okay, say I have this happening and this happening. Putting the formula into examples helps me memorize and understand when to actually apply it. Because for me to learn, I have to actually understand why, or I just am not interested at all. Okay, so that took me 4 rounds of memorization to get through and finally remove all the tabs of what I didn't know. But now the formulas are solidified in my mind. And I think that's a win. And so after the formulas, we are going to move on to the T accounts of memorization. And I think it's really important to note that memorization does take time, because you're literally just straight up memorizing. And then it's just, at times it is more than memorization for me, because I have to find a way to learn how to memorize. So I'm learning when I will see it, because I need to know when it will show up to understand why I need that formula. And that's how I memorized it. So for a timestamp, it's 10:39. So that took me about 2.5 hours of memorization. 2 hours, two to 2.5 hours. So then we have T accounts, and I did the same thing with the color coding. And then we have methods. I did a methods sheet because on this exam for the CMA, Certified Management Accountant, there are a lot of methods that you need to know, and the names of them are really hard for me. One thing with learning disorders and dyslexia and ADHD is that there's a really hard time knowing names and any form of name. Like, so if you're like meeting people for the first time and you can't remember your name for the life of you, that's pretty normal if you have those challenges, because I taught for a whole semester business statistics and I could not remember my students' names for the life of me. And I tried so hard. I really tried. Like, I even tried writing it down, and it just, I couldn't. And so names are really hard for us, and that was a really big challenge for me in law school, because you have to know case names if you want more points. And that's literally like my worst nightmare, knowing names. And so I would have to make up stories to remember the names. And so the same way it's going to happen with the methods, I'm going to try to make up examples of when they would show up. It is nice though, because most of these I know them. I just need to know when they say the name, which method they're talking about. So like I can be like, oh, that method where that case where that person got in a car accident and then they had a life lost, and this happened, and this and this and this happened. But I can't remember the name of the case for the life of me because I have trouble with names. So that's why I am writing this down so much to help. But we're going to start with T accounts. And if you don't know what much about T accounts is like the form of the language of accounting in a sense. But I'm going to take about a 20-minute break again because that was a really long study session. I'm going to get some water, do some stretches, probably edit some more. So memorization of the formulas was heavily right-brained along with T accounts. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do my first round of going through my Quizlet flashcards, because I think it will be beneficial if I split it up rather than going back-to-back Quizlet flashcards and back-to-back T account and method studying. So I will be doing my first round of the Quizlet, which includes writing, right? And then I'm gonna go back to T accounts after that break. I have my birding event at 2:00, and yeah, and it looks like my professor emailed me back. So I'll see you on the time lapse. So something about colors always helps me. So if I were just studying this, I would not learn it as well as if I did it with this, because colors help me identify what something is. So I do this in law school for book briefs as well. Blue is for terms. And then because I'm doing advantages and disadvantages cheat sheet for each form of method, form of accounting method, I'm doing green for good, disadvantages for bad. And so if I do that, when I look back in my brain, I'll be able to identify better, like green good, red bad. Because earlier when you saw that wall of text, I would not be able to learn that very well because I'm a very visual, color-coded person. So I'm doing the same thing as I did with the flashcard / paper method. I'm going through and going first round just learning it and not even saying if it's right or wrong in my brain, just understanding what the exact definition is and reading it and trying to internalize it. And then stage 2 is determining, do I know it or do I not? And so right now I have 300 flashcards. And so I'm doing step 1, and then I'm going to give my brain time to process that and switch back to a different format, because jumping from formats actually helps your brain, because if you're just doing the same format for a really long time, you can get stagnant. A simple trick is, if you need to study something or review something, put it in your flashcards deck. So in my flashcards deck, I have study methods. And so that reminded me I need to study the methods. It'll show up just as a flashcard, but it's helpful if you forget what you actually need to study. Okay, hi. So I just went through my first round of Quizlet studying. It wasn't very in-depth. It was me getting the big picture, because I've seen it before in my cheat sheets, but the level of detail needed for the exam is indicated on my terms sheet and terms flashcards. And so I'm actually going to go back to studying the T accounts now that my brain has had a conceptual break from the calculation and more type A/right brain material. And I think that's really important. You alternate, because you can take breaks by studying something else in a different way. And that's exactly what I am doing. I took a break from that material, like just straight up memorization, to just definitions and understanding what each term means, which is also memorization, but a different type, because formulas is like calculation based memorization rather than a conceptual memorization. And taking breaks back and forth is important for those with ADHD, because we get so bored so easily. And so I got bored of these, so I just went to study something else, and now I'm going back. It is currently 11:59, which means I have 2 hours until my birding event. I'm really excited. So my goal, I like to try to make goals by timestamps. So let's say my goal by 2 o'clock is to finish T accounts and start methods. So that means when I come back from the birding event, I have the 300 flashcards and methods. But actually, I should probably take a break if I'm going to make it to 8 or 9 o'clock studying. So I'm going to, or whenever I'm done, I'm going to take a break. Okay, so I'm hitting like the rotting stage. So that means my brain needs a break. I need to do the method studying before I go. No, the T account studying, but I think I need to eat some things. So I'm gonna eat some lunch. I'm gonna eat some lunch, and then hopefully that will give me, or like a snack, because I'm still kind of full from breakfast. Like, I don't want to eat a full meal. So I'm gonna eat a snack and then get back to studying. I'm just gonna keep going, because that's all you gotta do, right? You just keep going and then you'll get there, but you have to keep going. So that's what I'll do. Okay, so I got some crackers. I'm gonna cut up an apple, I think. Yeah, I'll probably cut up an apple and eat that as a snack. I'll set an alarm, because I know I'm gonna lose track of time and then I'm gonna be late. So it is 12:34, and I'm gonna set an alarm for like 1:45, so I get to the bird watching event at 2. Okay, so I did not get to finishing the tea accounts because I'm getting tired. Like, this is a lot of dense material, and that's okay. But that means I'll just go slower. And as long as I'm learning, that's what matters, because the hard part with memorization is your brain, you can literally feel it of how hard it is working. After the birding event, which will be an incredible break, honestly, I probably will focus better because I got to do something I love. And when you have outlets that are your passion, they often reignite motivation for you. Hi guys, the birding event was really fun. It's Diet Coke. And so now I'm back to work. It is currently 3:44. So that means I need to finish the tea account studying and methods and the Quizlet. I think we have plenty of time in the remainder of the day to do that. But that means I'm gonna have to lock in. And we have our bubbly Diet Coke. You know the drill. Back to studying. Okay, so here I'm doing the same 3-step process, but I'm doing it with my big whiteboard because zooming out and seeing it all there at once can help a lot with my brain rather than doing the small whiteboard. So I kind of feel gross. This sometimes happens when I'm just like in the same clothes the entire day, or like, I don't know, I feel gross. I'm gonna go take a shower and put on more comfortable clothing and then get back to studying. I do have quite a bit left today and I'm gonna power through. I know I can do it. I'm not gonna give up because it is the time crunch until my exam. So I'm just gonna keep persevering. If I don't get everything down to 100%, that's completely fine as long as I get through it. You know what I mean? So luckily I did like the first round of flashcards, so hopefully my brain is processing it, especially on my longer break when I went birdwatch. Like, I did like a bird scavenger hunt at the museum. It was really fun. Which, by the way, long breaks are very important. Have at least one if you're doing a whole study day, because then that gives your brain time to rest. So yeah, I'm gonna take a quick shower. Okay, hi guys. I just took a shower and that just gave me so much energy. Like, I don't know what about just laying in the shower without much stimulus, like lights dimmed, low light, and just relaxing. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Relaxing helps rejuvenate. It's 5:42 right now, but I think it's time I make myself some food. I don't think I've had enough food today, so I'm gonna do like a caprese salad type thing. So I have corn tortillas in the air fryer, and here is the final product. Really fast, easy meal because I did not feel like cooking anything at all. I'm trying to do low activation energy, and this is like one of the simplest low activation energy meals. It's just tomatoes, cheese, and you don't even have to do the bread. And then I added olive oil, Italian seasoning, salt, and pepper. And it's as simple as that. So I'm gonna eat, take a second, and then get back to it. Hi guys, so I'm just too tired to study. So what's gonna happen is I'm probably just gonna go to bed. So I ended up, I think I'm gonna do like one more round of the Quizlet before I go to bed actually, and then I'm gonna go to bed. But the methods won't be that bad. I'm gonna give myself max an hour tomorrow to finish up the tea accounts. and then methods, and then another hour to finish up the Quizlet because the drilling is the most important. Okay, now I'm actually done for the day. I got about 100 flashcards done. I know 40 of them, I have 60 to solidify. And some of those 60 are just like tiny things I missed, like specific wording. But yeah, it is 7:36 and I'm going to bed. I don't care how early it is. I'm tired. So I hope you have enjoyed our my 2-part vlog series of the weekend. It was really fun to have you guys come along with me. Have a wonderful night or day, whatever time it is.